Round 22, team list analysis here for Fantasy and SuperCoach. We've got some returning faces, which is really good. Joey Manu returns along with Cam Murray. Not sure what the go is with the half closed eye there, Murray. He's trying to stare into our souls. And that of Phoenix Crossan, we'll find out some interesting news on him as well. But let's kick it off with the Tigers up against the Cows there to start off round 22. It's going to be an exciting clash. Hopefully, from a Cowboys fan, we can get another win on the board. But all the worries that we had for Lockie Galvin were dispelled today. With him apparently at training with the main squad, looking completely fine, which is awesome news for us owners of Galvin, especially with 3 trades like myself there. So very, very happy with that. We see Alamalo on the wing there. We see Justin Olam returning in the centres, which is good news there. And Stafford Toa has had a really, really tough season there. So hopefully he can get his body right and sorted there. Api Coruscant, all good to go in that 9 jersey as well after having a cracking game last week, mixing between 7 and obviously playing some 9 there as well in the back end of the game. And they've got a pretty solid interchange shaping up there as well with Twali, Fainu, Seyfarth, and De Silva, with Isaiah Papali'i playing in a 13 role, which is really, really cool. So they won't be the easiest beat, but they've obviously got a few guys out, and Bateman gone back to England as well. And for the Cows, we do see Drinky and Val, the 2 important guys there, obviously, in that back line. Did and Townsend, Murray Talangi named to start officially this week rather than being in the reserves and coming into the starting side. And hopefully for those 2, especially Drinky and Holmes, those that are highly owned, they can do really well this week there. And Heilum Luki comes back into the starting side. We obviously see Cotter out in this one as well. And Jeremiah and I are a very interesting little pickup, I reckon, in SuperCoach there as a more of an attacking player, which is cool. Something to note there, obviously, with them having a bye in the near future in 3 weeks there. Robson, a cool guy to have for the end of the year as well, but do expect him to, obviously all these guys miss 1 week in round 25. Tom McKaylee, probably another 15 or 20 minute stint in that starting jersey. And you've got Edwards, Granville, Finafiaki, and Griffin Neem, who could all play big minutes there on the interchange bench. So good to see those guys come in and hopefully do some good things for the Cows. You got Fanua Pole actually out, which I didn't realise there. He's out this week, along with Stafford Toa and Luke Lalili. Tamalolo and Cotter. So Tamalolo did his cheekbone, which is not nice. Hopefully he's back in a month. That bye coming up is going to be helpful for these guys as well. And hopefully Cotter is back next week. I will be holding him, which will be good fun. Hopefully he comes back with a bang next week. But the Wars, we see Chance come back into the 1 jersey. Roger moves to the wing. And we do see Sean Johnson actually replace Tamade Martin. So if you're keen on getting on Sean straight away, hopefully he is okay, fit and firing. Hopefully he helps this team continue to get some wins like last week. That was a very important win, and hopefully that can continue happening. You do see the centers staying the same with Lea Ta'ua and Graham Tafar as well. Yeah, in the centers, they're doing good things like last week, and hopefully they can continue that. And as I said, the Wires can go on a bit of a run here with that terrific forward pack of Fanua Blake, Egan, Barnett, Nikure, Capewell, and obviously Dylan Walker replacing Torquil Harris there. So no real changes for the Wires there, and a couple of guys could be an option, but they do have a bye in that final game. For the Eels, you do see the same back 7, which is good. Obviously, Penasini, Talangi in the centres, Jake Tungle, Russell, Gutho, Brown, and Assey there. In the forwards, same thing. I expect Madison and Cartwright both to do well again. Hands end up at 41, I think, after updates there. So nothing changes for them either. A complete exact 17. Actually, Jackson Ford's the one out for the Wars there. With, who changed that? Yeah, anyway. Oh, no, Ford was on the bench, that's why. Easy as. Okay, Dolphins and the Roosters there. For them, Hammer, do you still go for him this week? I think it's a harder task to buy any of these Dolphins guys heading into this tough matchup against the Roosters. Expect a few missed tackles, especially if you're coming up against Mr. Angus Crichton. Connolly Lemuelu, we're looking at you. But it's going to be tough for any of them to do incredibly well this week against the Roosters. But so I wouldn't be buying anyone. Happily hold Hammer, Herbie, Isaiah Katoa, Max Plath, Tavita if you got him, Felice if you bought him last week, and then Lemuelu as well. Holding all those guys, not purchasing. Josh Kerr keeps his spot on the side, and they keep the same 17 that unfortunately lost last week. I tipped them. No good. Also forgot to go through my tips on this one. I did get 6 last week, if that helps you guys. There you go. Michael Jennings is out for the Roosters, and good news for myself and anyone who owns Watson as well. He is all good. It must have just been a dislocation of his finger, rather than being an actual break, because if it was a break, he would not be named here in 13. So that's good news around his finger there. a little bit worries still around Terrell May's minutes now that he's been pushed back to the bench. Is he going to be 30s? Is it going to be a 50 this week? We don't know. We never know. It is all a bit of a guess, but he is getting closer to a sell. Obviously, a bye. He's out next week as well with a bye. Hargrave's going to be returning in the next few weeks as well. So keep that in mind with all that around him and his spot in your side going forward. So it could be a nice upgrade target for, a Payne Haas and these types of guys there for sure. If you want Crichton, I probably would wait until after their bye next week. And I wouldn't be purchasing any Roosters this week, in my opinion, even though I think a lot of them will do well. I think it's hard to select them coming into this week against the Finns there, who are an outfit that can probably leak a few points, is what we've seen there. So Teddy and those guys, hopefully a big week for those players there. Titans and Broncos. For the Titans side of things, it's all stayed very much the same, right? You've still got Bofo Moore. You've still got Campbell as good options. Obviously, Keeney doing good stuff. Randall in there doing good things along with Fafita like last week. We do have Jamin Jolliffe, AJ Brimson, both returning on the reserve. So they might come into this side and disrupt things a little bit. And hopefully it continues to help them win, obviously, there. And it'll be a fun matchup against the Broncos there. So we'll see how that one ends up. But yeah, it's hard to know if they're going to come in or not. Most likely they do. But we'll see what happens there. But for the Broncos, Selwyn Cobbo's out with the allegations laid upon him. So let's see how that one goes before we cast any judgment there for sure. It's not my place to be judging anyway. Broncos, they have Walshy, obviously at 1. It's a very solid option coming into this week. Mam and Reynolds still in their spot there. Payne Haas, the big buy of the week, obviously. Get a couple of weeks before their buy. Pikura does return with Ricky there. Pat Carrigan. Both those guys, Pat and obviously Haas, the two big dogs, and Walsh, like I said in the previous impact of the next 3 games video. For the Storm, Munster is actually named at 6 with Tyron Wishart moving to 14. So if you want to and you're lacking trades, you can just see how it goes at 14. Maybe he plays 50 minutes through the middle. Maybe he spells Grant and only plays 15 or 20 minutes and he's there for injury cover. We don't know at this point. So you could wait it out for 1 week. He obviously scored really well last week and won't go down too much in price if he scores sort of 20 or 30. And you can watch, see what happens. Maybe Munster or Hughes, don't get through it. They get a concussion. They get suspended. They get injured, whatever it is. And then he comes straight back into the starting side. So you could wait a week and that would be fine. Jack Howarth still probably a really solid option for 1 more week. You can go for Pap if you want. I think you'll eventually get a rest. I think Howarth is someone that might play the rest of the year just to continue getting his reps under his belt. And guys like Hughes, I think, will be getting a rest as well. So keep that in mind. Grant, Katoa, likely, maybe Sean Bloor. We'll see how that goes. Bloor, they're trying to get him fitter and get work in his legs for sure. So that's something to note with the Storm guys. For the Dragons, Sloan comes back after playing New South Wales Cup last week. And you do see Lomax go back to the wing. They had Matt Fainai there who played fullback, but obviously, didn't make it through that game. So there you go. Jacob Little, the only real guy you'd be looking to target from the Dragons at this stage. And they do lose a few guys. Medoc Masilla, unfortunately, with an injury. Matt Fainai there, and obviously Toby Couchman out of this one as well. So not ideal. He's got a ban, Toby did, for the crusher tackle. And then Ryan, his brother, comes onto the bench, which is that one. But Medoc Masilla had the foot injury. Not good for him. For the Sharkies, we do see Samuel Stone Street come onto the wing for Ronaldo, who unfortunately is out for a month. Not ideal, but got Kailara there still doing good things. A couple of games in a row with a try. Hopefully that continues there. If you were looking at Braden Trindle, still a really solid pickup. And if there was more issues in my side this week, got a little bit lucky with just the 2, with Garrick and Cotter out at this point. Trindle was definitely someone I was looking at. You can definitely look at a Teague Wilton at a cheap price there. He can do a good job. And you got Nicker at the more expensive price. McInnes, hopefully in this type of game when they work a lot through the middle, bunnies, the McInnes can make lots of tackles for owners of him. And he can continue to score really well. And he's kind of on and off, week on, week off, minutes-wise, and obviously points, depending on how the game is played. For the Bunnies, Jai Gray keeps his spot, obviously. Fletcher Myers comes onto the wing, for Alex Johnston. Richie Kenner comes back into the centre jersey. I think as a SuperCoach sort of cash out, then you could have a look at Fletcher Myers. But for fantasy, I think you'd want to stick solid with, he obviously has a chance of playing each week from here on in, but they do have some other guys lurking, obviously. And got Isaac Thompson there for an example there. But the big one here is Cam Murray's come back. So if you want to jump on Cam this week, it is a good time to do so. I would probably jump on him rather than Keon from this point on, just because of the price difference. And I think Keon will get a few minutes rest from here on in rather than playing the full 80. Hopefully, Cook can just come on and play 9 for the whole game rather than moving to centres. Or the wing. That would be delightful. And Cheekham, they've got him on the bench. Move him. Please, move him. That would be my hope. And then White, and continue doing good things, big fella. You're doing awesome. All right, last few games there. Panthers and the Knights. You have Isaiah Longy there, who's coming into fullback with Dane Laurie out with a concussion. And I do expect Dylan Edwards to come back in the next week or two. So that's good news. The news about apparently Brian To'o being shopped around is completely false. He actually just signed all the way to 2027. Unless it did something completely wrong, which I highly doubt from Brian, I'd be locking up To'o for the rest of his career if I was the Panthers. He's so important to this side, along with all of these guys obviously there. And they're losing Luai. So, yeah, it's a lot of money that is leaving in that number 6, and they haven't replaced that position with anyone incredibly pricey. So that's that. Tungo and McLean obviously holding on. Hopefully they can score well against Gags and Lucas. It's going to be a bit of a tough one for Casey McLean, that's for sure, against Dane Gagai there is going to have met his match, that's for sure. But Cleary, make sure you get him in your side. Isaiah Yeo, cracking purchase as well. It's still likely all these guys, the top guys anyway, to get a rest at some point in the near that last game for sure, if they've locked up a spot or something like that. So keep that in mind there. With Dane Laurie, obviously Fisher Harris is not playing. It looks like 1 to 3 weeks for him. So, would you sell him? If it's 1 week, I think you're holding. If you hear much further about it actually being 3 weeks, then probably sell from that point. Bradman Best is obviously out for the Knights since they played last after having the bye last week. Dylan Lucas goes into the left centre spot, so he'll be partnering Greg Marzou, and we actually see Jackson Hastings be dropped. In this one, it sounds like he might end up going to back to England early. We'll see how that one goes, but they're going to play with Phoenix at 7. And I imagine Kalen's going to do a lot of kicking out the back there. So he's a really solid one to pick up over the next few weeks. You got Fletcher Sharp on the wing, which is a fun one to see on that right wing there. And anyone who's holding on to him still, you get another play this week. So that'll be fun, even though it is against the Panthers though. So up to you if you want to go early on Ponga. I'm a little bit worried to play Greg in this type of game, but we do know that, sometimes these kind of damaging wingers, they can just get a bit lucky with a try or gets a good bunch of tackle breaks or something like that. He's up against what's going to be Taruva, likely. Yeah, you'd say Taruva and Isaac Tungo. So there's definitely potential for some tackle breaks on that hand side. Isaac's been missing tackles and as such. So yeah, definitely an option to continue that. And hopefully Dylan Lucas has those beautiful hands there. He can get Greg some good balls. So I'm going to try and loop or use him as a late decision in my team there personally. Daniel Saifidi, any owners of him, you'll be happy with him still starting. Jaden Brayley now, he's likely to play some bigger minutes in the starting side with Phoenix Cross moving to 7. So anyone still holding on to Jaden, I do own him in SuperCoach still, so that's helpful on that front. If you're holding on to Kaipis Paul, Dylan Lucas has gone into centres, which is great news for him. And it's probably all you really need to know from this side is that Kai can be easily held now. And hopefully eventually he can pick up a try at some point. But Will Price and Jackson Hastings in the 20 and 21 jerseys there. So won't be in this side most likely. And let's finish it off with the Dogs up against the Raiders. We have Manly on the bye, just to make sure you guys know that. I'm sure most of you do. But the doggy side of things, we've got Stephen Crichton returning along with Josh Addo-Carr. So that spells a little bit of trouble for the Raiders, who have played well the last couple of weeks there for sure. Burton and Sexton, you still got some great options there in Carraz. Obviously Burton there. Josh Curran has been named to start, which is good news. So hold on to him, hold on to Reid Marnie. And then Jacob Preston, a really good point of difference type of play. If you're looking at that, nothing changes on their interchange there with Hayes Perrin coming off the 23. For the Raiders, nothing changes for them, which really just means that Fogarty's a great pickup. Matt Timoko was a shocker last week, only scoring 10, sadly. And Xavier Savage, I think it'll be a tougher one for him in this one. He's going to be on the right side again, which is obviously up against Addo-Carr, Bronson Sherry, and Vil Kickout. So that'll be a tougher one for him. I wouldn't be looking to jump on. For Xavier this week, it was kind of the last few weeks were good. Tom Starling still starting, which is awesome. Joe Tarpany, a really solid pickup, obviously, if you're looking at him. And we still see Zach Hosking on the interchange. So yeah, just keep getting yourself cheaper. heading into next season, big fella. Nothing else changes for the Raiders there. So a really fun little team list. Obviously, the big news, I didn't even really touch on it in the Roosters section, but Joey Manu's back. But again, I would wait at least one week with him. They've got the bye next week, and you can make some decisions around those Roosters guys in round 24. I think they're going to have a cracking end to the season. Will they rest them? That's probably the big question. I think someone like Manu probably won't get rested, given he's just missed a bunch of time. But the other guys like Teddy, like Walker, these types of players will probably, Watson potentially gets rested in that one. So another reason for my Watson mistake. But thank goodness he is playing, and hopefully he can have a banging score in this one here, in that game. And wish you all the best of luck with setting up your teams and getting things sorted. We do have a game in a couple of days' time on Thursday night, which is awesome. So have a cracking week, guys, and we'll see you in that next video tomorrow.